All right, this is where we are. So in order to create this resume, you can either just go to doc.new and look for templates here. Shikina, once you just click here, it will give you templates. So I'm going to expand these templates and I'm going to look for the CV template that I want and then we'll now reconstruct it. Right. So I just want something simple and not too complicated. Simple and not too complicated. So just that first part. Okay, so I'm probably going to go with not here, maybe this one. Okay, so here we are, and we're going to start creating a CV. So in every CV, right, it doesn't matter what template you're using. There are certain things that are very, very important, things that that CV must contain if that CV is going to sell you. We all know that the point of a CV is to sell ourselves to potential employers, right? So in this there are different types of CVs, right? For example, there are some people who have up to 7 years experience or for 20 years experience, 15 years experience. What they would have on their CV will different from someone who is in more or less an entry level role, right? So that's what we're doing, entry level or mid level role. That's what we're doing here today. So I'm just going to start. So the first thing I have that we're going to put on our CV is your personal data, right? So I'm going to make this center this thing. Sorry, I'm going to put it in the center and then I'm going to get started. I'll put this top. Yes, there we go. Taking my light. So this is my name. Okay, let's just it simple. So as per address, right? It depends on if you're so let's say we're either probably doing a virtual assistant resume or an executive assistant resume. They're almost the same. The only thing is that there are certain terminologies, there are certain information that you would want in, it's just like there are certain terminologies that would better suit a virtual assistant resume, and you might just look for another version of that terminology and put it in an executive assistant resume. So, for example, if this is a virtual assistant, virtual, so it means it's remote, you really don't need all of your information like number 28, your street, your city, your postal code. You probably just need something like Lagos, Nigeria, right? If it's a virtual assistant role. So I'm going to make this safe space and bring this, oh, and then I'll put my phone number just in case. And so because it's a virtual role again, just to be safe, I'm going to do +234 and my phone number 244. Let's say this is my phone number. Yeah. So it's important to go this way. Then definitely put your email, right? So your email at gmail.com. So in certain virtual roles like this, where you know that those people will probably not call you over the phone because of international expensive calls, right? They would rather communicate with you if they like what they see and want to communicate with you, they would rather communicate with you via email. Or the next part here is that we're going to do something. We're going to put in our LinkedIn profile. So basically, just type in LinkedIn. Control K will give you your LinkedIn link. Like you type control paste, like your LinkedIn. Now, the next thing, if you have a portfolio, if you don't have, you leave it open. If you have a portfolio, you also put the link down there. Control K, portfolio, paste your portfolio link and go ahead. So these are the most important things that you need. Blah, 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 blah. Apply. So you can decide to make it neat and remove all the underlines, right? Yeah. Or if you want to distinguish that, okay, these things are clickable, you can decide to, okay, put the underline, but everything has to be the same color, definitely, right? So it's important. So note that if I'm applying for a virtual assistant role, I just need to put Lagos, Nigeria or Abuja, Nigeria. If I'm applying for an executive assistant role, which may be, say, hybrid or, even if it's remote, right? And the person is in Lagos, the person would probably want someone in Lagos too, or Lagos Island. Person will probably want someone in Lagos Island. So you might now decide to put Lekki, Lagos, or you actually put your full address, right? Because now you're applying for a job in the same location as you're in, right? So that's for data, that's for personal data. It's very important, especially the email and the LinkedIn profile. It's very, very important. If it's like in Nigeria, they will definitely call you. But if it's abroad, they'll probably not call you on phone, but then they'll send you an email. So um you also want to make it known, like let it be easy to see that um this is where one place starts and where another place ends, right? So, okay. So now the next thing should be your professional summary. So I'm just going to copy this part so that everything is in the same Kiniko. So I'll copy and paste and now rename this summary. So your summary should have two things: who you are and what you want as regards to career. So who you are and your career goals. So I am so your summary should not be more than three sentences. Like if it's four sentences, probably because you have 15 years experience. But if you're within the 7 years experience range, let it not be more than three sentences. So I'm doing that. I am, and I think I have something that I already typed up, that I am. Let me just save time. And I said that I'm a proactive executive assistant. So note again, this word is important. If I'm applying for a virtual, there's something else I forgot to add here. You also need to add the role you are applying for, people. Whatever. So remember that you have to have one CV for a particular job role. You can't use your virtual assistant resume to apply for a secretary job, even if it seems like the skills are actually transferable. You can't do that because you need to do that thing that has to do with making sure you have the right wordings. I need to make sure I'm using the same. Okay, this is the same. Okay, put it in normal. And then same. Okay, now I'm good. So it's important to put this because this will help you. It will help the so it's saying that you are Onyinye and you're a virtual assistant. So stop. If you're looking for an executive assistant role, you are Onyinye and you put executive assistant, right? So the summary is now going to go ahead to say, okay, this is who you are. You are a proactive. So this is, you need to have a verb here. So you are a proactive, or if you feel like you don't want to use the word proactive, that's a word that describes you is not really being proactive, but say being resourceful, right? It means that you might not really know everything, but you know how to find your way around things. So you feel like, okay, you are a resourceful virtual assistant or resourceful executive assistant, right? Or say you're a tech driven executive assistant, something like that. So it will help you because they actually do read this, right? And so here I said that I have a strong focus strong focus on delivering results. And I went on to say that I am eager to support an executive by alleviating their workload. So you notice that this other line here, this line over here is talking about my career goal. So that career goal has to be in relation to the job role that you are looking for. Okay. You can't say you want to be your career goal is to manage businesses. Meanwhile, you are applying for the role of an assistant who is supposed to be assisting and not managing. Okay. So you can now throw in some things that say, oh, so this third statement that I have here is actually supporting my second state. So my two main statements that I have here is the first one and the second one. The third one I have is just supporting my second statement, which I would have just said, and I would have just used the word and here to connect them. Or also, and just to make it one big sentence, and then use the last one. My greatest strength is this, that, and that. So this is a good way to like structure your professional summary. Who you are, what are your career goals in relation to the job that you're looking for. So as an assistant, your goal is related to supporting people, assisting people, aiding people, helping people. Those are the kind of words that should be found on your CV, and you should insert them in this summary, right? So you want to help them take the stress off their business, or if it's a personal assistant, you know that okay, you're saying you want to help them take the stress off their personal life. So you also want to say it's the same thing, but then you want to make it more personal and less professional, right? Less professional. So the next thing that I would do is to put on my skills, right? So you notice that most people always put their education at this point. While it's important to put education, right? I usually have my education at the last safe, not even second to last, because my education has nothing to do with the job I'm looking for. I studied plant science, right? And so if I was looking for a job as a lecturer in plant science, a research assistant in something related to plant science, biotechnology, or biological science in whole, then I'll bump up my education. So that's, to the second part, right? To the second section, because it will help show that, oh, this person actually has something in line. So maybe if I did business admin in the university or something that has to do with this type of administrative skills, or if I did something in marketing and the role I'm applying for is something that has to do with marketing, then I'll bring up my education because it's kind of related, right? My education will help me. Now, in this case, where my education does not, have anything to do with the role I'm applying for, then I take it down and I bring up the skills because that's what they are looking for, right? They're looking for skills. So in this case, we probably have 1001 skills, right? So you would find this is where your CV probably is going to change because it depends on the type of job you're looking for. So typically, if you're going to be using this CV to be looking for virtual assistant roles that are majorly administrative or something relating to administrative, right? And not marketing, right? Not marketing, then you know that you would have to have a mix of now for your skills, there are like three types of skills or three kinds of skills: the soft skill, the hard skill, and technical skills. So you want to include these three skills in your skill section, and you want to make sure that the skill you choose to include, because there are a million and one skills that you can include, but the ones you choose to include are going to set you apart, right? For example, the soft skill might be and as a virtual assistant, you definitely need communication, you need being resourcefulness, you probably need research, and so you would go away from team building and teamwork and all of those other things that might not really be needed because you're just probably going to be working with one person, and you just choose, say, only three or two soft skills, and then bombard this skill section with your technical skills. So I'm just going to copy what I have here because I have, so these skills, right? I usually change it from time to time depending on what I want to send out for. So remember what I said, it depends on whose mic is that? I'm going to mute the person. So it depends on what you're applying for. Most times these skills, right? How you also get in touch with these skills is job description. So if you go out and you're looking for virtual assistant job, the job descriptions will definitely show you the skills that they're interested in. And so you now copy and paste here, right? So if the client is looking for someone who probably knows how to do graphics and they don't mention Canva, you add Canva because you know that they are definitely not looking for a graphics designer. They just need someone who can do social media posts. So if they say, oh, social media posts, content creation, then you want to add things like Canva or video editing because those are the skills that you need for content creation or the other one, right? What's the other thing that I said? So basically that is it. So if someone is saying, oh, they need someone administrative skills, you know that they mean things like Microsoft Office. So instead of get this, instead of going to start putting Word, Microsoft Word, what's the other one? Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, this, that. You just generalize it and say Microsoft Office or Google Suits, right? Just in case if the person, because you just don't want to put one. These are the two popular ones. So you can't put one because maybe the client is using Google Suite, or you know, because you also want to be able to be using this same resume to apply to many people, so you know that you're using the two most popular. So now the second thing is that some clients would kind of specify that okay, they need someone who has publisher. There's a Microsoft publisher app, right? So in that case you might want to come and edit this CV and add publisher here as a keyword. It is a keyword for you, right? It's an addition. Yes, you have Microsoft Office, but then you have publisher here. So if there's another Microsoft app or Google app that maybe Google has one other app called Jamboard, some people use it, right? And so if the client in the job description puts something like Jamboard, something that you know that it's things that is very important to this client, and you don't have it in your skills, you come and add it in your skills, right? So basically that's it, amongst other things you want to do. So again, if you look at the job description and it seems like okay, this person is looking for technical people, someone who can do it, you add the technical, you just, what you need to do is copy the apps that the person mentioned on the job description and add it to your to your skills. Shikina, all right, Shikina. So okay, then we come back to skills, sorry, to experience, right? So but before I usually put experience, there's another part, the other thing that I usually put, which is achievement. If you have some sort of achievements, right? If you don't have, you have to just find a way to look for something that you've probably done and that you can use it as an achievement. If you can find out two or three, you can put it in a bullet point. For example, where is that? For example, you can say, probably you don't, if you want to say you're applying for a virtual assistant, Kiniko, and the person, of course, virtual assistant has to do with administrative skills, clinical skills. You can say, and maybe community management. You can say that you've an achievement is that you've grown a LinkedIn, a WhatsApp. Sorry, you don't need, if it's WhatsApp that you know you can't really snap or something like that. You can say you've grown a community from 200 to 4,000 members, active members. You can add active members in 3 months, right? Or 6 months, whichever one that you think that you've been able to do. Even if it's your own personal Instagram account and you actually have 2,000 Instagram followers, you can use that and say, okay, you did this in the last 3 months or something like that. And then another type of achievements that you can say is that you, something having to do with maybe a project that you led a team, cross-functional team of 5 to produce web projects, right? So the web project can just be a website that you help someone build their website, right? So basically, so you can even just find the slightest things that you probably have done, even if it's your school project that you people were 5 or 4 that did the project together. You'd say yes, you led a team of 5 people to produce Kiniko, whatever it is. So whatever it is your school project was, you find a way to generalize it so that it doesn't really scream, this is something you did 5 years ago or something like that. Okay. So that is important that you have an achievement. What it does is that it helps people to see that, okay, you a go getter, right? And they are not just hiring someone that is just follow, but someone who would make sure they get, goals at the end. All right. So the next one, which is now the next thing, is experience. Someone recently gave me, so I'm just going to, someone recently showed me their CV, and while it was great, there's something we need to understand when it comes to CV. If you're applying for, say, the role of, in this case, we are applying for a virtual assistant role. It's not far from being an executive assistant. So it means that what you have to do, it might be what it depends on who you're working for. Say you've worked before, and what you did, you were a sales rep, or just someone should give me an example of something you did before, right? You were a sales rep, or you were store manager, or cashier. Say you did those type of jobs, or you were a secretary in a school. Now, I just mentioned three things. I said cashier, store manager, secretary. You notice that being a secretary is somewhat close. They have transferable skills to being a VA, because basically it's administrative roles. You can leave that title, job title, as secretary, right? Secretary, right? Now, but the job that says cashier, find a way to make it maybe executive assistant, or project assistant, or finance assistant. Something that is not screaming far away. Like, for example, if you're an accountant and you're looking for a VA role, and the VA role has nothing to do with, what is this? Bookkeeping, has nothing to do with bookkeeping. Remove that terminology accountant from your CV, and put something that is in line with the VA role that you're looking for. Okay. So say you initially worked in a hospital as an accountant, you can say something that is related to secretary, right? You can say yes, something that's related to secretary, or something like that. Okay. Then if it's possible, right? Let it be, let's say this one that is secretary, we can make it the second role, then the other, then if there's no way that what you did was related to VA, and you still want to put it, let it be like the first role, the one that is far away. Let it be like, oh, that's where I started my career, right? But right now, I'm now a VA. And so that the most recent job role you have is that you were actually executive assistant. That's why most people don't call you up, because even though you're applying for an executive assistant role or virtual assistant role, your CV is saying accountant, your CV is showing a skill that is not a skill that will not be needed in the job that you're looking for. So what you're trying to say in this job role, so even if you did accountant there, you in this role, you're trying to show that, okay, you found you at some point handled administrate. Look, again, you need to tailor it down to the job role, actually, or the general job role of a VA, right? So you need to say that, okay, you helped, or you handled, you assisted the accounts manager, and Kiniko in making things. So you're trying to make sure that the roles that you have in your CV is showing that you are an assistant, and you know how to be an assistant. And if you're hired, you already have experience on how to be an assistant, and not that they'll start training you from the beginning. Okay. So basically, if you have, say, less than 7 years experience, don't have more than 3 experiences, right? You can have, just even if you've worked in different places, maybe on freelance level, just choose two and make it seem as if you worked. So let's say you graduated in 2017, and you went to service 2018. So you have your work experience will start from 2019. So instead of saying, and let's say every year you worked with different, because you're probably freelancing, every year you worked with different people. Just choose two people and say that, okay, the first person, you started working from 2019 to 2021, and the second person was from 2022 to present, something like that, right? And again, avoid gaps. For example, the gap of your youth service can be explained. You can say, okay, in 2017, I graduated. But in 2018, there's nothing in my CV because I was serving my country, right? But if, for example, the first role stopped at 2021, and you don't have anything in 2022, and then the next time you started working was in 2023, you need to be able to explain what you were doing in 2022. Maybe you were getting a master's or you were doing a PhD. If you have something like that, like a certification that you were doing at that time, to explain yourself, then that can work out. But if not, do not leave any gaps in your CV, in your experience, right? Do not leave any gaps. Maybe you say, oh, you are getting a certification. Then certification probably took you 2 months to get, or you are doing an internship or something like that. Then you can use that internship to explain the gap in your CV. Okay. Then everybody knows what education is. So education would be your most recent, if you have HND, if you have degree. So if you have, say, results like first class or 2-1, you can probably put your what's that? You can probably put your grade like you got a 4.4, right? Because it helps to boost it. But say you didn't get as high as that, you know that you didn't get just leave it at BSc or HND Kiniko and put the dates. Do not put your grade. If your grade is not going to boost you, don't put you don't need it. It's not a must. Okay. For example, like in some people, I've seen some people's CV, which sometimes is not really necessary. It's only necessary if you just graduated last year and say you be a vice president of something, a student body, right? So if you just graduated last year, it's probably still fresh. It's showing that you have leadership skills. Then you can include it in your not really education, but in your achievements. But if you do not graduate last year, remove all those school politics, school kiniko aside, right? So then awards, this thing that I put as awards here, usually I would put it close to, okay, the award is the achievement here. So if you actually do have an award, you can now put slash awards, but if not, you just leave it as achievement. Okay, what's this? Words. Okay, so basically that is that. Then, as regards your bullet point, let it not be more than 5. Some roles can just, you can combine them. Most importantly, don't like, except you have up to 7 years and above experience. That's when I mean experience, it means that you start counting from the year you, maybe if you want to add your NYSC, you start counting from your NYSC. Sometimes you don't want to add your NYSC because you probably didn't do a good role at that time. Like you didn't, maybe you had, no offense to teaching, or maybe you are doing teaching, or in my case, I was doing civil service work, which is not really that interesting, right? So I start counting my 7 years experience from the year after my NYSC, which is 2018. So 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and we're in 20. So probably 6 years experience. So even if you actually started working this year, say you had an accident and you broke your leg and you did not work throughout, your work experience actually starts from that year after NYSC, or NYSC if you want to include it, right? So take note of that. So what I was trying to say is if you have up to 7 years experience, then you can actually take up to 2 pages. But if you don't have that much experience, just keep your resume under 1 page, you know, Shikina. So I don't know if you have any questions, so that's usually we'll format this. Any question? Someone says I can't hear anything. Were you all hearing me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess it's her mic. Vivian, I think it's her mic. She's no longer here.